Well, hello there.
Here.
Welcome to Real WW Talk. It is Erin.
I'm Candice.
And I'm Rikki.
Candice, it is so good to see you back with us this week.
I missed you guys. You all held it down last week.
We did. We were thinking about you. Do you want to go first today and kind of give an update?
Sure. Well, number one, I heard you all dissing my plant nanny. My plant is still alive. Okay.
No X's across the
I
line.
want to be very clear. I did catch a little bit of the show, and you all were saying that little Candy was gone, but she is still here.
So
Okay.
you stopped listening after you heard that.
I was like, let me just make sure that I address this up front. But so last week, let's see. Well, one, glad to be back. Good to see you guys. I did have probably the toughest week of my life last week. Just a quick update for everyone. I've always said thank you for your prayers and for everyone who supported me. I shared a couple episodes ago that I was going through a tough season in my life. I was expecting baby number 2, and we found out last week that the baby passed away. So going through that and walking through that journey, all of it. Erin and Rikki know the intimate details, but it was every single day something that I was dealing with. So I'm happy to be happy in one way that we know kind of what it is. We didn't have to make a decision. The heart just stopped beating. And at this point, now I'm trying to deal with grief, but also trying to focus on myself and be really kind to myself. So back to tracking points, back to exercise, back to, being a good little WW person, but also doing it with a lot of mental stuff going on. So I feel like it's back on track a little bit.
I have something to say though. I don't want to. I want to challenge you to not say back on track, because through all of the things that you've been through, you have been doing the step vet.
True.
You have been drinking the water. Your plant nanny is still going strong.
Yeah.
You've been, eating what you can and eating, you still cooking and, doing all those things that, and you've been on track. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you've been off track at all. Like, you've been on it.
You know what? I will tell you one thing, Rikki. Thank you for saying that, because one thing I was immensely proud of in the midst of everything last week was the day that I had to have a procedure. Was the day I got a stretch day for my step vet, because it's the last week of the step vet. And I did complete the step vet, even though I probably could have given a note and been like, look, but I completed it that day and got all of those steps done before I went in for my procedure. So I agree with you that there was growth and there was a lot of being on trackness. I think it just felt like, because I wasn't, counting points per se, that I was off, but I wasn't. So that's true.
And even now moving forward too, I think there's space for you as you're grieving, right? Yeah. That this doesn't mean that you're shutting this part off and closing that down, because sometimes we can do that as coping mechanisms kind of a thing. But there's space for that while doing this over here too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like sometimes even staying true to those things can also help with the grieving, because it's not something that you're not having to think about, because you have the habits in place with it. Exactly. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a learning experience. There's so much that I've learned about myself during the process. And I said, if I'm going to go through this, I need to figure out what's the lesson. And a lot of it is that I did maintain a lot of the habits that I didn't need. It's not that I didn't need WW and I didn't need the tracking and the intensity, but it showed me that there's a lot that I have absorbed from the years of doing this that are second nature, and that, help me to continue on a positive track, regardless of what I do. So that was encouraging for me to know. So, but thank you guys again for always supporting, and for the listeners, everybody who has wished me well. Just continue to pray for me, because I'm sure there'll be tears even more, but for right now, we move forward. So, but how about you guys? How was your week? Erin?
My week actually went quote unquote well. I'm calling it a maintain only because I'm still within this 1 pound range. I was down 0.2. So if I'm down 0.2, I want to claim I'm down 0.2, but if I'm up 0.2, I'm like, oh, I maintained, right? So I want to be fair with that and say I maintained, which again, I'm not disappointed in by any stretch, just because what my season of life has been. And I've learned that my body, when I'm under stress, I retain. I retain and maintain. And any day where I'm not gaining, I'm okay with. And I'm also know too that I'm not gaining because I'm not I'm not having the actions to create a gain. Let's put it that way. So I've maintained healthy eating habits, healthy tracking, the step at finishing up. I mean, that certainly kept me, completely captivated in the activity area. And I would say that that has been instrumental this whole time as well. So I will admit that today I took a rest day yesterday, and I've taken a rest day today because I have needed it. But I am looking forward tomorrow to being able to go up and move and do things. So that feels pretty good. I did take our tracking challenge that we had for the weekends. I've just tracked everything, and I'm negative 10 points
Okay.
in the hole. But I'm not concerned about being negative 10. I know we've kind of talked about this before, and especially Candice, we've talked about this, that it used to be like, if you see that negative number, like there's no climbing out of the hole from that. So what do you want to do the rest of the week, kind of a thing, right? And I feel really good about it in the sense that I know that I can earn those points back. I can put more points back in the bank through the activity, through water, and through vegetables. And so I've actually upped my vegetable quantity within the past 2 days, which is interesting.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
That's
so
such
I
a
feel
beautiful thing. I
Isn't
love that
it?
you can gain things back in positive ways. You don't just have to stay negative. You have so many ways to impact that number.
yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, if you think about what you can earn by walking, and let's say you earn 3 points by walking, let's say you have a cup of vegetables at every meal, 3 points, right? So now we're at 6 points, and I drink a cup of water. That's 7 points that I can earn back in one day.
Yeah,
That's not too shabby. Multiply that times, 6 days or however many
amazing.
days you have left to earn, within your time frame. That's not too shabby.
And I
So
love that you tracked beyond, like you said, sometimes we see that number knowing it's in red, we're in the negative, you don't want to face it, but knowing that you, like you said, you put all of that effort into undoing that and being honest about how much you were over. Because sometimes you can go over and say, oh, I'm at 2 over, I'm not going to track anymore. But you didn't, you were honest, and it'll pay off.
Well, and here's what's funny too, is like, this is why tracking matters so much, because in the past, I would track in my head and I'm like, nope, I'm all good. So on Saturday, for instance, I had 2 eggs and I had avocado, which are all 0 for me, right? So breakfast is 0. I've got 22 points for the rest of the day still left to go. I did 5 guys, but I didn't get a bun. I got it in the bowl with the extra vegetables. I got a order of the little fries, and that already decimated me for the day, just that meal, even though I made those cuts. I mean, it was the French fries that did me in, not the burger. And then I treated myself for Valentine's Day, and I got myself a Dunkin' medium iced mocha with 3 shots of raspberry. So I got a raspberry mocha, right?
Look
So
at
that
you,
was
rebel you, putting
Yeah.
in some shots of raspberry.
I know. Like, I was like, I'm doing it. And that was 14 points. And then I had dinner with that. And so once all that thing, which to me, if I look at it and go like, oh, I had a special treat, but the special treat put me in the hole. It put me in the points hole. So all that to say, tracking matters, because even if you're tracking in your head, it's not until you see it on the paper or in the tracker that you realize, ooh, hey, look at that. I might need to make some adjustments. And it actually can make you feel free instead of bogged down, because you know what you got. You know what you got to work with. So it's all good. All good.
Very good.
Am I the only one though who's noticed? Because I am a Five Guy lover as well. The little fries have gotten littler. Okay.
Okay,
They
yeah, but
used to, because the points are high.
they
Okay.
changed it though. They call it little fry, then there's regular fry, and
Mhm.
then there's a big one.
Yeah, I know,
Oh.
right? But the little fry still used to have the little top off on it too, and
Mhm.
you felt like you got a little portion. But right now, I feel like the little fry, they're taking more of my fries. And
Oh.
I've been, for the 38,000 points that they charge for the little fry, I want to feel like I got some substance. And I've been a
Mhm.
little annoyed with Five Guys
See,
recently. I was going to write in and say,
they
where are my
topped
10?
mine off. They did top mine off because I watched him fill up the little container, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"That's another container of the little fries." And I was like, "Well, I'm eating it."
Right.
Well, I think it counts. Well, I was gonna write to corporate and tell them that I didn't get my 10 extra fries on the top and that I charged myself 35 points for this, and you all need to give
Mhm.
it to
You
me.
want
So
every single fry.
Listen, come to the Five Guys in Catonsville. They taking care of you, okay?
good to know. Rikki, how was your week?
My week was okay. So I also maintained and I focused on habits this week instead of focusing as much on the scale. So the first habit that I want to focus on for a couple of weeks is adding a vegetable a day, 6 days out of 7 of the week, and I did it. I met that goal. So I took carrots to work. I took the vacation carrots, and I had these little like Ritz crispers that I like to have like for a snack, but I had them with the chips, with the carrot chips, and that was really, they were fine. I didn't have a dip with them, so it was a little dry, but like I got it in early, and that felt good. So sometimes during the week, I also had veggie with dinner, and I had made smoothies. That was the other thing I did. So I had that double intake of veggies throughout the week. So I'm continuing with that because this is like not just goals; it's habit building. Um, and then I'm going to build in another habit after that.
I love it.
Rikki, look at you.
I know. It's
Miss
unrecognizable,
Vegetable
right?
Lover, you. Look at you eating
Yeah, I
those
don't know about
veggies.
lover yet, but it'll be a habit. So, Candice, you're very inspiring. Like, I want to get to the point where if, I have a really challenging week, it's already a habit. So it's not like I'm like, man, I don't want that smoothie, or I don't want to pack carrots for lunch. They're already there and I'm eating them because that's what I do. So,
I love the way you just said that. I'm doing this because this is what I do.
mhm.
This is who I am.
Yeah.
It's not who I'm trying to be, who I
Mhm.
think I am, but this is
Mhm.
what I do and this is who I am. I think those are powerful statements.
Yeah, and when you said, Erin, you love veggies now, I should have said, yeah, I do, because that's, again, I know we say it every week, atomic habits. We're claiming not necessarily what we used to be, but what we want to be. So even
Mhm.
if I'm not fully there yet, I'm claiming it because my actions are going to match that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What you say is what you will do.
Mm-hmm.
So true. So true. Going back to even the step bet,
Mm-hmm.
I said I don't lose step bets. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't lose it. And that's
Exactly.
what you're saying. I eat my vegetables now. Like that's a thing that
Mm-hmm.
I do. So bring on the vacation carrots and
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love
And you know what? Shout out to everyone who did the step bet with us. We just wrapped that
it.
up. It's been so encouraging to see the comments that the community members have been writing about the step bet, that it was a thing that they didn't know that they could do that, like
Mm-hmm.
hadn't believed it about themselves that they could do the 6 weeks of walking, and to now
Mm-hmm.
have built that habit and have the accountability of the step bet
Mm-hmm.
to do it. Just even seeing how much that they've changed, like that habit has led them to other good habits. I mean, that's super, super exciting for us to hear. And we're so grateful to everyone who joined in. And if you had to be one of the people who dropped out of the step bet, we hope that you'll come back and try it again, because I think if anything, you've learned the commitment that it
Mm-hmm.
takes, right? And it's not a negative thing to realize, oh man, I can't commit this right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a realization that like this is what commitment can look like.
Yeah.
and don't forget. So we also saw a lot of questions in the Facebook group and actually in the step bet about if we were going to host another one. Guys, we're going to take a little breather from
Mhm.
hosting the step bet through Real WW Talk, but there are so many other hosts. You can join a
Mhm.
step bet And if you're a member with StepVet, which I'm not, where you pay like, I think an extra $50 a year, you can join multiple StepVets. So don't let the fact that we're not hosting one for a little bit, not saying we're never going to do it again, stop you from joining one if you want to. Just search through their website. I think it's on the app, and you'll see the ones that you can join and that are starting soon. So I do that all the time, especially when the ladies are like, Candice, you're killing me. I'm tired of StepVets. And I'm like, fine, I'll go find another one. So I do encourage you guys to do that, even with this one ending. And if not, just walking because you want to walk, you know?
So guys, I wanted to talk about this because I went to a meeting yesterday, and, you know, just hearing the new topic of the week, I learned about, you know, positivity and different ways to keep positive. And it just made me think. I know that the phrase toxic positivity is just thrown out so often. And I thought this is a really good place to kind of chat and stay, because I agree with the topic of the week. I think being positive, having a good outlook, saying, you know, I can do this, things are hard, but I'm going to challenge myself. I can overcome this, whatever it is definitely necessary to you know, it's good to have that good outlook. But I think sometimes we can be so positive that we are almost blinding ourselves to the reality of like our behavior. So I'm saying I can do this, you know, I eat dinner every day and I can, you know, lose weight even though I'm eating dinner, you know, different places every night. Well, that's just ignorance. That's saying something that's not true. Like, what do you guys think about that topic?
You know, I was watching My 600-Pound Life with my friend in my head, Dr. Now. And there was an episode, I forgot who the guy was, that was on recently, where throughout the entire episode, this gentleman just continued to gain weight. Like, he ended the whole hour show gaining 12 pounds and over what he started. And Dr. Now was just looking at him. And Rikki, it made me think about it when you were talking about toxic positivity, because he was like, it's okay. I'm trying really hard, you know, and I'm not going to beat myself up. The fact that I keep coming and seeing you is a win. And Dr. Now was like, right, that's great. However, you're not actually making any changes in your life that are helping you get towards your goals. And you're using the minor things you're doing, showing up at my office or saying that you drank some water today, as justification for not making the changes that are necessary. And I'm happy, but you're not being honest with yourself. And I think that's what I think of with toxic positivity. It's masked in a good thing, which is positivity, but it takes it to not really having ownership for things that you do need to be very direct with yourself about sometimes. You know, because that's a whole show and you gain nothing. You know, you lost nothing.
So while you guys were talking, I wanted to go look up and see if there's any type of a definition that we've kind of, like, you know, the greater community agrees on for toxic positivity. And this is UW Medicine, Right as Rain. And it says, toxic positivity involves dismissing negative emotions and responding to distress with false reassurances rather than empathy. It comes from feeling uncomfortable with negative emotions. And it is often well-intentioned, but can cause alienation and feeling of disconnection. And there's some ways of kind of combating it or stop toxic positivity by clarifying what you want from your, in this case, they say conversation partner, but even if it's just you personally, by clarifying what you want and let yourself feel feelings and let others share theirs without needing to fix them.
And the feeling that you're hiding from is disappointment in yourself. I think when we're relating it back to food or like our weight loss journey, you know, sometimes when you're direct or not doing toxic positivity behaviors, you're having to deal with the disappointment or the shame of the decisions that you've made that have gotten you to this point. Because there's sometimes shame in having to take ownership for the things that you do that are keeping you stuck.
Yeah. And I think sometimes when we even procrastinate and say, you know, I'll start again tomorrow, like that seems like a positive statement. Like, I'm going to do it. Like, I can do it. I can restart. But it's like, how many times have I said that? And is it just at this point denial or procrastinating from actually being realistic about what I need to do today.
Rikki, as you were talking just a couple seconds ago, it made me think about one of the things that I've said before, because this is a realization that I had for myself, is that I haven't been a woman of my word, right? When I've said that I'm losing weight, or I've said that I'm doing these things, but I'm actually not doing them, it's made the people in my life struggle to believe me when I say that I'm on this health journey, because what they're seeing is not action from me, that I'm serious about the health journey, but they're hearing it. And I have to put more time in showing and doing than actually saying.
Yeah. And that was the face that, going back again to the show, that was the face that Dr. Now was giving the patient. Okay, I don't believe you,
Mhm.
And I think about when Erin, when you shared that, even I remember when you shared it in the meeting about are people justified in not believing us when we say we're going to do something? And
Mhm.
historically, it's been proven that we don't do what we say what we're going to do, but then you get defensive. Well, you don't know. This time is different. You don't understand. I was going through a lot. And all of the excuses that come out to say, don't judge me. I'm in a good place this time.
Mhm.
Let me be Zen. Let me try one more time. People have a right then to say, I just don't believe you.
Yeah,
And that can be hurtful too.
it is. And we have to allow them to say that. We have to be able to receive that is true. And we have to be able to receive that truth from them. And we also need to be able to speak that truth to ourselves as well, that we are not, the reason why we are stuck right now is because we're not doing the things to make us unstuck. And we can come up with a million different reasons why. We can say that, oh, my body doesn't lose weight as fast. Or we can say, that, oh, I drank too much carbonated whatever this week, and that's why I'm not losing weight. The reason why we are not losing weight is because we're not following the program. And the program works when we actually track our food and stay within our points.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
I've had to have a season of kind of being quiet with certain friends about my, journey, because it is like I need my actions to show that I'm losing versus my voice. Like you said earlier, Erin, like I can say over and over again, yeah, this is my 9th time on WW, and this is the one. This is really, this is going to be it. I'm going to do it. But I have not given them a reason to trust me. Like, yes, I have lost in the past, but in the past few years of this, I have not given them a reason to trust or believe me. So have to humble myself in a way and say, okay, I am not being honest to myself, because I'm telling myself that things are different when things right now are the same as they have been. And that's why I'm, stuck in this position. But my actions need to show others and myself that I can do it. And that's through the habits that I'm changing.
And Rikki, the piece that I'm really picking up on that you're saying that, resonates with me is making sure that it's to yourself first. Because a lot of times we're focused on trying to prove to others, that we mean what we say. And that's great, because we want to generally be believed, but do we believe ourselves? And I think a lot of the times there's been times in my journey where I don't believe me. I know that I'm full of it. I know that what I say I'm going to do, I'm really not going to do. If I were to say that, it's Valentine's Day and I'm not going to have something sweet, I know that that's not true. But if I'm like, well, I mean, it's Valentine's Day, but I have to prove it to myself because I'm worth it, and not because Erin's looking or Rikki's looking or anybody else is.
Yep. Have you guys caught yourself, because I've caught myself doing this, where I'm trying to convince myself that I'm better than I am at losing weight, or I'm trying to convince myself that if I say it enough, that I'll start to want it enough, or that I'll start to do it enough. When reality is, I'm just saying words with no action plan behind them.
Yeah, I can relate. And I think, again, I'm thinking about the last part of Atomic Habits that I read. where it's I don't believe in my identity has not changed. I don't
Mhm.
believe that I'm not a different person, but I have a different identity. So, as far as being a healthy person, I don't walk around saying in my mind I am a healthy person and making those choices that I reflect that identity. So because of that, I may be saying it, but I don't identify with it. So I'm not making healthy choices. That was really profound to me. And that I think that was
Mhm.
in the second chapter of the book.
Can I just say that I love that you are the one who's single-handedly lifting the load of Atomic Habits right now and doing all the quoting and not me.
I
And
may
I
be reading it as
I've just been looking at the book, so trust me, it's you all.
yeah, I've been the one who's like, okay, I'm not going to talk about it as much, but I feel like it's so there we go.
There's our
It's
copy. We're
so
holding up the copy of Atomic
profound.
Habits.
Yeah. It's a lot of meaningful things in there.
It is. I mean, I'm so intrigued, especially because it's I feel like for all three of us that the concepts are so simple, but it's like they've
Mhm.
created a major unlock for us
Mhm.
this time around.
Mhm.
And I've found myself, especially when I listen back to us last year and even just thinking of myself last year, that I felt like I was in such a grind and like I was bumping up against something within myself that wasn't moving. And to be here at the place where I am right now, where I'm actually so much more relaxed in my W journey or in my WW self, that it's literally just as simple as accepting the habits and
Mhm.
accepting the tracking.
Mhm. And part of it is letting go. Like for me, what I'm learning is letting we want to keep there's comfort in the old habits. There's comfort in like I know when I'm frustrated, I have a tough day, I go to Target. And when I'm at Target, I say I'm not going to get candy, but I do.
Mhm,
And I say I need a new eyeshadow, but really I'm getting the eyeshadow and the candy. So what am I going to let go of? I know it's a trigger for me to go, for example, this is an example, but to go to Target. So I am then, when I'm frustrated, identifying that that's my trigger. And I'm saying, I'm not going to go to Target today because I actually don't need that. I can go to Target on a Saturday morning when I know I'm in a different mindset. But when I'm in this mindset, I'm going to make a different pre choice so I don't have to say no to
mhm.
the candy in the store.
Well, and you also even just identified something even before that is that I am frustrated right now. And I'm
Mhm.
identifying that my habit when I get frustrated is how I reward myself is that
Mhm.
I go to Target and I go get candy to eat to make myself feel better. And
Mhm.
so instead of telling myself that I'm going to go do this and I'm recognizing that this does not help my frustration, I'm going to deal with my frustration in a different way that actually deals with it. So the
Mhm.
things we talk about emotions take care of emotions, food takes care of hunger.
Mhm.
They shouldn't cross over to one another.
Yeah, and I think for me, all of that is definitely true, but I also one thing I focused on is what is the thing that gets me out of the toxic positivity kind of place? And
Mhm.
I don't like the fact that usually it takes me getting sick and tired of getting sick and tired of hearing myself. Like I'm like, I
Mhm,
I cannot with myself. I'm sick of hearing me break
Mhm.
promises to me, the
mhm,
scale going up, the lies I'm telling. And I am able to make a really big switch when I get to that heightened point of annoyance with myself.
Mhm.
mhm,
I've been questioning why does it take that extreme need, why do I need it to be such an extreme to motivate myself to have the change in those behaviors and to do
Mhm.
those things. And for some, they're able to stop it with just a little less. Do you know what I mean? Because
mhm,
it's a buildup, like to get to that point of annoyance with yourself that you're like, this needs to stop.
mhm.
Do
That's what
you
happened to me back in October
Mhm.
or
Yes.
September of last year, where I was like, I am sick of coming
Mhm.
on here and being like, hi, I maintained. It's okay. I gained. It's okay. That I didn't even want to talk anymore. I just wanted to show
Mhm.
with
Mhm,
action that there was movement because I didn't believe me,
mhm.
you
Do
know.
you think sometimes that happens when we're not only frustrated with ourselves because of a lack of progress or because of gaining, but because we are seeing other people who are making huge strides, or maybe they started after us and they're they've lost 50 pounds in the time that I've been sitting here, maintaining, like, do you think sometimes it's external things that get you to that point?
Absolutely. And this is a journey where everyone's sharing the external, I lost 20 pounds. I hit I got my 25-pound star. I've added walking. I was really kind of triggered a little bit with Erin back in July, August, whenever you started with your walking and you were consistent with it. I was like, she just did it. She got over herself and she's like, I'm just going to go walking. And Rikki, you recall, she said it so conversationally. I just get up and there's nothing that stops me. I go in the morning. It's just, and I was like, she just decided. And I'm over here like, that bike is so pretty that I spent all this money on and I have no reason. And I like all the classes, but it's just not in my heart today. But Erin got up and did 2 walks today.
But you know what? When I started doing that, at least when I started doing the first walk, it had nothing to do with fitness. It literally had nothing to do with it. It had everything to do with mental health for me. It was, I needed to get away from work because I'm working from home, and I needed to signal to myself every day that this is the end of the workday. Like when I was working in the office, you'd signal to yourself it was the end of the workday by getting in the car and going home. There was no getting in the car and going home, and it was starting to bleed too much for me into the personal life. And so it was like, you know what? I'm going to shut the laptop and I'm going to go for a walk. And that's my signal to myself. And I was going to that's 30 minutes for me. And then it was like, man, I'm really enjoying this. And then I was like, I can feel myself in the mornings, I see myself scrolling on my phone for an hour and a half, just kind of waiting for the day to start. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm wasting an hour and a half. I could actually be getting up right now and going for a walk because that makes me happy and I enjoy that. Let's just go do it. But again, none of it came out of, and still doesn't come out of, exercise, quote unquote. It just comes out of, this is now something I enjoy doing.
So you're
But I
feeding your
still
emotional.
say, I got that. I got it. But I'm still saying that that's a choice because people could say that they do the same thing with a piece of coffee cake in the morning and a Starbucks drink. Like that's the thing that they do. But you found you had to make a conscious choice to say this healthy habit, whether you called it healthy or not, this thing that is good that I'm doing as a stress reliever is something that I'm choosing to do. And that's going to be a positive for me as opposed to eating something or drinking something.
And it's the thing that you've heard me say before about how does this make me feel in my mind? Because if I do the coffee cake route, I'm going to start to beat myself up in my head for doing the coffee cake. I've never beaten myself up in my head for going for a walk. Never, ever.
But how did you make that switch from if coffee cake wasn't your thing? Because that is something that can be a habit that even if it's a negative one with a negative emotion, it's something that you could get used to doing and feeling.
Sure. Well, I think that goes back to even what you were saying about I'm sick and tired of myself. I'm sick and tired of this, right? And for me, it always comes back to I'm sick and tired of having these conversations in my head about myself and these things that I don't like. So how about I just stop doing that? And I think we put so much thought into effort into how we stop doing something when honestly, sometimes it's literally stop doing it.
And that's what Dr. Now was saying. That's what I was trying to get to.
You just,
sometimes you just stop.
Just stop doing it. Literally.
Sometimes it's not deep. It's not, you were just like, look, I'm going to walk and walking makes me feel good or whatever but you know that you could have done something else that would have given you that trigger or given you that release, but it wouldn't have made you feel good long term. You said I have to stop it.
Right. I mean, I could have started journaling. I could have started taking that time to journal in the morning, right? I think there are lots of different coping mechanisms of ways that I could have used the time. For me, it just shook out to walking because it got me out of the house. It got me breathing in fresh air. It makes me feel happy. It makes me feel good. Sometimes I'd put on a podcast or I'd pray or I'd listen to music, but it was all about, how I start my morning is really kind of how the whole day goes, or even if the day crumbles to a million pieces, I at least know that I started well, and it's up to me if I want to finish well.
Yeah.
And what Rikki just recently did, I exercise in the evenings
Mhm.
because I just look.
Mhm.
It's ridiculous to say that I don't. I do. I also am
Mhm.
going to have some vegetables this week, because
Mhm.
your point, Erin, is very well taken. And that's what I was saying. You get sick and tired of the
Mhm.
excuses that you give to yourself, of the
Mhm.
toxic positivity. And you say, I just have to do this.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is nonsensical. What I'm doing doesn't make sense. It's time for me to stop doing the things that don't make sense and to start
Mhm.
doing things that make sense.
And half the time we've built it up in our head, like the vegetable thing. It's like, well, I don't want it with my dinner right now. Well, I'm not 5, and I know that it's helpful for me to eat it. So I'm going to open the fridge where I have plenty of vegetables. I'm fortunate enough to have a freezer full of food. And half of it, some of it is, meat, and some of it, like, I have a variety. I am incredibly fortunate, and I'm being a spoiled brat and saying, I don't want it, I'm not going to have it. Well, I can make a different choice. And it was not that hard. It wasn't. I just, sometimes in the moment, I think when you decide I don't want to do something, it's just that, like, a snap of like, okay,
Mhm.
I don't have to. But if you challenge yourself to take one step
Yeah.
further and say, I'm going to do it, it makes a difference. And then, like, I forgot who said it earlier, but I felt so much better eating carrots. I'm a different person now. I'm eating carrots and making smoothies. So it helped me to have a little bit of a confidence build during the week too.
Rikki, I think you did just tap into something, because I think if we were probably to assess our personalities, and
Mhm.
especially when it comes to weight,
Mhm.
I think we're going to find instant gratification in there for all of us. We are
Mhm.
used to instant gratification, and it's hard to give up instant gratification.
Mhm.
I can instantly gratify a hunger urge. I can instantly gratify an urge for a sweet.
Mhm.
We can go get anything we want whenever we want, drive by it. I see it. I want it. I get it.
Mhm.
And what we're doing right now is the work of saying, not right yet, not right now. And our brains will pitch a pity party for us because it's used to getting what it wants. It's used to that dopamine hit,
Mhm.
right? And right now, what we're trying to do is create a new feeling in our brain that this is satisfying, that this is good. The feeling that we'll get, that dopamine hit, will come later. It's just not going to happen right this second. And I think, having to fight through
Mhm.
the way that we've conditioned our brain through instant gratification to experience delayed gratification.
And I
Mhm.
think also having to accept the lies that we've told ourselves that
Yes.
we are just so determined to believe.
Mhm.
Like, I don't like veggies,
Mhm.
I determined that it's true. Funny story, last week, my mom, I don't know why whenever anything bad happens or sad, people make you soup, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, soup is the
Mhm.
thing. So my mom brought over soup. She told me it was potato soup, but there were all these other little vegetables in it that didn't look like potatoes. I saw things that I did not agree to in this soup. And so I was determined I didn't like it. I hadn't even tried it. You pick up the spoon and you look through and you're like, okay, that's a broccoli spear. That's some red peppers.
No,
Okay.
potato soup should be able to hold its weight on the spoon with a little bit of sour cream and bacon on top.
So
Mhm.
she got me with that because there were little bits of potato, but there were other things. So this was more of a vegetable soup. And I was like, I don't know if I like this. But because instead of giving into it and I decided to say, if you don't eat the darn soup, you haven't eaten all day. It was amazing. I mean, best soup I've ever had in my life. And it was
Mhm.
colorful. She had
Better than
colorful.
my chicken soup?
Erin, this one, I almost need you to have it. I told her, I said, Erin's going to have this recipe. I don't know what she put in it, but it is
Okay.
amazing.
Okay. I'll
Wow.
take it. I'll
I,
take
I,
it.
I mean, yours is great,
I
but
can't win at everything. That's fine.
when you taste it, you'll be like, Mom, what did you do? But the point is, I might have said, normal Candice is like, I don't eat vegetables. I don't really love them. So I wouldn't
Mhm.
want vegetable soup. And I got over myself, tried it, and loved it. So I
Mhm.
think that's a part of this too, is having to give up on these preconceived notions about what you just do not like and will not try.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, when it's for the betterment of your health, and health isn't a bad word. You know,
Yeah.
like something being healthy isn't bad.
Yeah, because let's be
Mhm.
honest, like I love watching Food Network and things like that, but nobody's forcing me to try like, octopus or squid or like something that like when we're talking about a piece of cauliflower or like a pepper, a red pepper that's not spicy. Like we're acting like these things are things that were once alive and squirming in the ocean or something, but they weren't. And it's like we can get over ourselves for a second and eat it.
Here's
Or
Rikki.
shrimp, you
Right.
know, or cashew.
Look,
Or shrimp, Rikki. You know, like a piece of
I
shrimp.
said things that squirm in the ocean are things that I will not eat.
or a meatball, Candice.
That doesn't count.
You.
I'm grieving.
Meanwhile,
Okay.
I'm over here like, ooh, an octopus salad would be fun. This is so cool. I actually got to cook octopus one time. It was so fun. I did a cooking class. It was a Mediterranean cooking class. And I was like, I learned so much.
Good for
How to
you.
cook it properly. Like,
Good for you.
both of you.
Erin,
Listen,
don't bring
that's
octopus over, okay?
a staple for some people in culture. So I'm open. And it's 0 points if you're on the sesame on the the sesame on the seafood. If the seafood is on your zeros.
Listen, I'm
can-
grieving right
can
now.
use-
I can only eat things that I know because it's tied to my mental health. So
But
you can
listen,
have
if it
the
was
octopus.
calamari.
No.
That's true. It is so that
No.
is
I don't eat
calamari.
I don't eat calamari. I do not.
Did you see the look?
You don't eat
No.
calamari?
No,
Because
I
it's
don't.
octopus.
I know.
It
I
had
just
a suction cup and was like on a wall somewhere.
so squid and
Suction.
octopus are the same thing.
No,
No.
they're two
But I
different.
thought calamari was squid.
It is.
It's not octopus,
I
Rikki.
thought
Calamari is squid.
Yeah, not octopus. But Rikki said it was octopus.
okay.
Ricky's
Either
like,
way, it's
either way.
disgusting.
No, there's a difference because calamari is amazing. Get it fried, a little bit of the stuff, and you dip it into the creamy sauce. It's great.
I will not eat it.
Rikki,
I have tried it. I tried a piece of it,
Okay.
but I will not eat it anymore.
Okay, but you've done more than Candice has when it comes to meatballs.
There you
Listen,
go. I
I'm
am
grieving.
I'm grieving.
This is gonna be- I gotta have something that works. I will try it with covered in blue cheese with some hot sauce or something like buffalo. You said you were gonna make
that-
buffalo meatballs.
That's
That
right.
is very common. Those
That's
are good.
Okay. So
I need
see,
to
I
make
made
some
a thing.
Regular meatballs.
That's
Put
right.
blue cheese on top of it and bring over. I'll try that.
Okay, I need to do that for you. All right, I
Good.
think it's time for us to wrap up, ladies.
We're going downhill fast.
Yes. No octopus for Rikki. Got it.
None whatsoever. Well, we hope this conversation maybe has sparked some thoughts in you. Thanks for hanging in with us as we just kind of wrestle through these things that we're thinking about as we're trying to progress on our journeys on really not even so much as the weight journey, but even just our overall health. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. Please feel free to drop some comments below, or if you even want to reach out to us via email, you can realwwtalk@gmail.com. And you can join our Facebook group. We're on Instagram, and you can watch us in person on YouTube and in the Facebook group as well. And then if you want to pop us in your pocket to listen, if you are heading out early in the morning to create a habit of walking, or later in the evening, or biking on your Peloton or Peloton, you just search Real WW Talk on any platform and you will find us. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Well, we wish you a great week on plan, getting closer to your health goals, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.